The Oklahoma City Thunder make a statement in game 2 with 87 points in the first half, and this game was pretty much over even before then. Welcome into the Big Little Podcast, everybody. I'm your host, Patrick Previty. That is Andrew Greig. Andrew, thoughts on game 2 between the Denver Nuggets and the Oklahoma City Thunder?
Man, we knew that the Oklahoma City Thunder were good. We knew that they almost won 70 games in the regular season, but man, this was a statement win. I mean, you know that the Oklahoma City Thunder can do this, but it's a little shocking to see after such an interesting game in game one. There was a stat that came out that the Thunder have only played in 6 games this season that the margin at the end of the game has been 3 points or less, which feels like a low number just in general. And they're 2-4 in those games, so do they know how to play close games down the stretch? That is still to be seen. But man, if they don't have to, they definitely won't. I mean, they're going to win this game by 40 plus points. They are consistently one of the best offensive teams in the league, if not the best offensive team in the league. They can do it from top to bottom. They have about 7 to 8 guys who can give you double figures, if not 9 guys on any given night. And obviously it starts with SGA and then bleeds into Shet. Obviously they have Jalen Williams on that team, the 2 all-stars between Shea and Jalen Williams this year. And everybody on that team can score the ball, can shoot the 3. And they consistently are one of the better perimeter defensive teams as well. So we're seeing that in this game from top to bottom. And if you're able to score 87 points in half, breaking a playoff record, you kind of deserve to win that game by the margin that they're winning it by.
So they had their backs against the walls, just like every other home team in the conference semifinals. And they actually came out probably in a similar fashion that the Cavs did initially, but they actually ended up closing this game and didn't let the Nuggets hang around whatsoever. You're right. This team almost won 70 games in the regular season. They were the prohibitive favorites for most of the season, maybe outside of potentially the defending champion Boston Celtics and what other teams maybe rose up to the top, like the Cavs, but obviously them less so now. And they're kind of just flexing their muscles here a little bit. They felt like Denver stole that game against them in game 1, and you don't want to go back to go back to Denver down 0-2. Obviously, we're seeing multiple teams do that now. So I think it's a really good sign that the fact that they were able to just come out and take this game 2 with some authority. It kind of feels like it switches, maybe not switches the momentum, because Denver still steals home court and they did their job. But to win this game by so many points, it just straight up, it just feels like they kind of switched the narrative a little bit when they do go back for game 3.
100%. I mean, I don't see how it wouldn't be at least a little bit of momentum going in, winning by 43 points. That's not something that is easily done in this league in general, especially not in the playoffs. Obviously, Denver has a little bit less to play for, as you mentioned. They stole the game at home. They did what they needed to do. Jokic fouled out of the game in the third quarter. He didn't have the greatest game in the world even before that. But I mean, yeah, no, you'd think that the Thunder would take a little bit of momentum. And for everyone who was saying that Mark Daigneault was a bad coach, focus on that analytics too much, I need you to sit down, because this team is good. This team probably should have won game 1, and now they are going to a series where they're going back to Denver, and they've won a game by 40 points now. This team is going to be good no matter what, and for them to have lost a close game like that, obviously there were some coaching mistakes, but it's the heat of the moment. You think that you're not going to choke away that game the way they did, and it's more on the players and less on the coach. I want to take a little bit of blame off him, because he has been one of the best coaches in the NBA this season. Obviously, he gets a little bit less credit for the team that he's built around him, but I mean, he's still one of the better coaches in this league, and I think that he got way too much flack for his decision making. Obviously, fouling and then letting Jokic back into the game wasn't the smartest idea, and there were just mistakes, but there were mistakes around the whole. Like, if Shet doesn't miss those free throws, then it's a completely different game. So I want to give him a little bit of credit for the way that he handled this game, lit a fire under his guys clearly, and they were able to come out the way that truly the way a champion should come out, like winning by 40 points next game.
And I'm sure the Nuggets would love to have a coach like him on their own sideline. We keep seeing those clips of, I don't know if you've seen them, where it's like Jokic kind of coaching up the team in the huddle, like whether or not it's in timeouts or commercial timeouts or whatever. But the Nuggets, I'm sure, are potentially missing Mike Malone, maybe right now or as this series goes on. Is there any thought that you have about them cleaning house so late in the season? Because it's a very competitive team. I mean, they were able to take game 1 off of the Thunder still, albeit, with this game 2 blowout. Is there any potentially like buyer's remorse, for lack of a better term, that maybe the Nuggets have?
I I don't think so, just because of the fact that this team hasn't underperformed. Maybe if they don't get out of the first round, you start to think that a little bit more. That feels like that might be a result of Michael Malone's firing, but they are tied 1-1 with the best team in the league for the majority of the season. So I don't think that there's any buyer's remorse yet, and they probably wouldn't have won this series even with Michael Malone coaching, especially the way that there was some rumblings about his coaching style just throughout the course of the season. So I don't know if there is any of that, but I mean, definitely like you for some of these situations, you definitely want a more experienced coach and not just somebody who's thrown into the fire. I'm not saying that the current head coach isn't doing a good job or that he doesn't deserve to be there, but obviously you want somebody who has a championship winning experience in there for the playoffs. So, I mean, definitely you're missing that a little bit, but do I think that he's worth 43 points? Probably not.
Yeah. So here's another thing that I wanted to throw out before we potentially get into a game 3 prediction. And that was, do you think that this is going to change the MVP conversation? Because we have hindsight whenever it comes to this stuff, whenever we see the playoffs. And I think it's pretty obvious, at least towards the end of the year, when it looked like the betting odds were in Shea's favor. And there were a lot of anonymous GMs and a lot of anonymous people around the league saying it was Shea. So thinking about it's going to be him. Do you think some of those Jokic fans are maybe going to go off and switch teams? Is there going to be a little bit of a change in the narrative after this series if the Thunder do end up winning?
I think naturally, if the Thunder win this series, there's going to be a lot of like Shea believers, or just a little bit more to the nature of Shea being the MVP this season. I think that Shea has a better team around him, which is partially why I would have leaned to Jokic in the regular season. But I definitely think that argument gives a little. It's just a little bit easier to hear, especially when Shea is dropping 34 points in what is game 2 at this point. But if they win the series, you're expecting Shea to play well, and he dropped 34 points, didn't miss a single free throw, only missed 2 field goals, went 11 for 13. So he had a spectacular game. But this is also to say, like, Jokic only had 17 points in this game, fouled out early. This game was never really in question. But in game 1, he was instrumental. Like, him being on the sideline felt like a huge loss for the Nuggets when he was on the sideline late in that game. And he dropped 40 and 20, had one of the best statistical games in game 1 of that series, stole a game away. So, I mean, there's still the case for Jokic is still so strong. He's always going to put up numbers, and in game 1, he essentially was one of the, even though it felt like he was doing a little bit less than maybe 40 and 20 should feel like, but I mean, he had a 40 and 20 point game. I don't know that there is anybody who's on that Jokic train that is really going to be flipping sides too much.
Yeah, and it's a regular season award. So whenever you see something like that, you just kind of have to filter it through. But things are going to be making the rounds over social media until game 3. All right, let's get into the game 3 predictions. I'll go first. I'm going to say I like Denver to bounce back. I believe they lost one of the games against the Clippers in the first round by 34 points. And I think this team has a ton of playoff experience going back home. They're going to get their role players back. I think that they're going to be able to go up 2-1. Now, I'm not picking them to win this series, but I think that they're really going to give the Thunder a run for their money, and it's going to have to be a little bit of a readjustment period. I think it'll take a game for the Thunder, and I like Denver in game 3.
Well, one of us is going to be right. I think the Thunder are going to take this game and use the momentum that the 40-point win projects them into a game 3 win. I think that the Nuggets will win one of the 2 games at home. So I don't think that they go back to OKC down 3-1, but I think that the Thunder take game 3.